Yo, what the heck was this dream about? I don't even know, but I'm about 5 sips into my morning coffee. So I said, well, let me go ahead and get this out, see if anybody can relate. But this definitely is giving futuristic, possibly end of the world scenario sort of thing to separate who from, the invasion of, I would assume, aliens, we'll call it that. But you guys, so this surrounds like commuting, traveling, but commuting, like groups of people moving about. And this could be from a major metropolitan area back to where it is that they reside. Like they might travel there for work, but then they got to go. And I'm talking about in particular New York City, because this isn't like the first time, like it's almost normalized in my dreams that New York City is, where I'm kind of walking around and doing the activity in the dream. But in this particular reference, because I remember I was walking through and I was kind of guiding my mother, telling her, I was pointing that way and saying, that's, the whatever store, or you want something to eat. I remember a location down here, so I'll just grab something there. But then I ended up kind of getting lost because it wasn't the same. So I think in a measure of where this is going, I feel like it just has to do a lot with screening. So who's actually human and who's not, because it might get to a point where it's going to be hard to tell just by looking at someone on the outside. And if you're traveling or commuting, of course, they don't want like a repeat of like a 9/11, because you remember after 9/11, they put all these security measures in place. And I even woke up thinking like, wow, this is way more than, having to take off your shoes here and them scanning you for things. This was more like internal measures of security. So when I was going through, and matter of fact, as I talk about it, I had, some sort of like my iPhone now, you would use maps, when you're driving, but this was for walking, like commuting with a group of people. You have like a device in your hand and it's showing you like the navigation direction with the blue line to turn left, So my turn left was approaching like an escalator. So this escalator was packed with people just kind of going downward into, it was a facility of sorts. So the next thing I know is there was like this, it was set up like it was a urinal, but it was set up as like a collective urinal. Like it had like stages to it. So it like lined up 3 by 3 by 3. And these are like toilets that I'm talking about. So it's like you were squatting right next to the person beside you. And there was someone like a whole nother row behind you and then a row behind that person, but they were all urinals. So it's like before you could even consider getting on whatever we were about to get on to be transported, you had to urinate. And I remember the number was 4 times. So it's like you stopped and then you did it again. But TMI, you were able to use toilet tissue in between. Okay, so that was that. And then I remember seeing my name on like a big screen, but it was like they were getting us lined up. After we went through that process, you got lined up to go to a different sort of like screening. And I saw my name on this like LED screen and I was first. I'm like, man, I'm never first in anything, but I happened to be first. But then again, the urinal, how that was staged and lined up, I was on the bottom left-hand side. So when I would exit from there, it's like I was moving, like I would be the first one in line. So that was interesting. Excuse me. So the next thing that we had to do was go through like what looked like a table, but it had people set up ready to, intake. It was like an intake. So to get whatever it is that they needed from you so you can go past forward. So it seemed like I was cool, like everything was fine. But then it sounded like there was an issue with some paperwork or something didn't come in time. But whatever it was, these people who were used to screening people, this was something that they had never encountered. So it had to be like, it's going to be 24 to 48 hours. Cause I remember hearing that to where something had to be, I guess, justified for me to be able to move forward. So what ended up happening, there was a lady with me. I don't know. I want to call her a handler, to be honest. So it seemed like she was like, oh no, like we're screwed or something. So I'm thinking like, okay, this woman must be responsible for me getting to the intended point to where I'm supposed to be going, like destination wise. So she was like, oh no, like almost as if she was trying to clear things up. And then there was another man that entered in. So I'm like, okay, is he another handler for me to try to get me through? So then these two started conversating, and it's like, if you think about it, it was like there must be something, that can be done, or can you call this person or whatever, or do what you got to do. Because it seemed like they had to get me on whatever this was. I want to say like a flight, like it was set up like this was some sort of airline or whatever you call it, terminal. Okay, so once that got decided, they pulled me and someone else to another room. So the thing was, sorry, y'all, I got distracted just now. Hold on just a moment. Okay, so they pulled me and that lady to a little private room, and it's like a doctor came in because they had on like the thing where they check your pulse, not your pulse, like the old school stethoscope, I think it's called. So they had one of those around their neck. So he came in and he's like proceeding to slice something off of the lady's, I'm hearing appendages. So something off of the right side of her abdominal area. So I guess her stomach area, but the right lower side of it. Almost as if they needed like a piece of skin or something. And I remember her saying something out loud, like a distraction for her even, to kind of fight the pain. Because I'm looking over at her like, damn, that must be what's going on. She's just saying this stuff out loud to fight the pain. And I feel like she was saying her alphabets, but it was with words like apple, banana, carrot, dragon fruit. I feel like it was kind of that sort of thing. Something she could kind of run through, but they were words, but it felt like alphabet. So he never got to me because I guess I woke up or something. I've switched over to something else, like in regards to dream state. But y'all, this really felt like another level of security because, as I thought about it, I was thinking this seemed like it had to do with checking vitals, but this isn't the type of checking your pulse or making sure your heart rate is good. No, this is like to make sure you can go through like the necessary things to identify that you are, I guess, like a real human being. So it makes me feel like, if we're going to be commuting or traveling about, there's the invasion energy coming back up to where there's going to be a lot of other things here or represented that maybe look like human beings but are not human beings. But how else are they going to be able to separate and identify? Excuse me. And then there's something about the travel, the commuting as well. But I feel like New York City, being that it's always coming up in these commuter dreams. And mind you, I even started thinking, okay, if we're walking the streets, because that's what we were doing. But we weren't alone, of course. And I remember my mother asking me about, she might have said like hoverboard in the dream. But in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, those are everywhere. You'll see them when we get to certain corners. But I thought, it was a reference to those share ride bikes that you can just kind of pick up and use your app to time it and you pay for it through the app. Like one of those things. And then it just shuts off when your money runs out. But I thought that's what she was referring to. But now that I think about it, and I say all this to say, I don't remember seeing any vehicles. So I feel like that's majorly important as well. And the fact that we travel in herds and then we're kind of screened before we can kind of move on to possibly some sort of shuttle energy moving us about. And I don't live in New York. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but I don't know why that's kind of coming up, that it's going to be maybe starts or based in New York. Aren't a lot of things now that we think about it. But anyway, y'all, I just wanted to share that. If anybody else had any insight or feeling or, excuse me, I'm sorry, throat chakra, that maybe this has kind of come up for you as well. I mean, I would love to know. But yeah, All right, hope this helps.